Hello and welcome everyone, Callum here, and welcome to a Pack 1 Pick 1 video. What is that, you might ask? Well, I'm going to take a pack of first edition Flesh and Blood Monarch, and I'm going to bust it open, see what's inside, and I'm going to talk you through a little bit about what I would first pick if I was sitting down to do a draft. And then what I'm going to do is I'm going to get some of the other LSS staff members in here. I'm not going to tell them anything about what's in the pack. They're going to give their opinions, and we'll see if they agree with me or if they have a differing opinion. Some people rate certain cards differently, some people prefer different heroes than I do. It should hopefully give you a bit of insight as to the many different directions you can go in when you're drafting this set. So, let's get stuck in here. Open the pack up, we'll get rid of the token, and I'm just going to fan it out. Down the bottom I'm going to put the class cards, and up the top I'm going to put the generics and talent cards. We've got a foil Rip Through Reality, a piece of equipment, a couple of generic rares there. So I'm just going to put these class cards together. Decent number of Runeblade cards there, and okay, so some interesting stuff in this pack. A lot of good generics, which is nice because often when you make your first pick you want to try and stay open. You don't necessarily want to commit to a class straight away. There is a nice piece of equipment here with the time skippers giving you 2 action points. Can be especially useful with Prism because you want a lot of blue resource cards anyway, and also if your big phantasm attack gets destroyed, you'll have another action point to be able to have another chance at another attack. Captain's Call is also very versatile. The card can pump cards up, can give them go again. Tremor of Ierathiel, it is generic, but it tends much more towards Shadow because of the fact that Shadow is the talent that puts cards into your banish zone. And of course, if this card gets +2 attack if the card's been put into your banish zone this turn. A 1 cost 6 attack card is pretty powerful, as is a 2 cost 6 attack card. And this also works nicely on defense. I quite like Illuminate as well. It's just a blocks for 3 or defense for 3, 0 cost, and if it hits it, you can put it into your soul. So nice to be able to charge up your soul early game, and late game it can hit some pretty nice breakpoints if you're both on 1 life here. So yeah, looking at the options here, wanting to stay open. It's a very interesting pack, actually. I think what I'm going to do is take the Captain's Call because I really like versatile cards, and this card has a very high upside as well. Can enable a lot of really big turns and doesn't commit me to any class. And yeah, just an overall really nice pick that I'm happy to take first. But enough about what I think. Let's get some others in here and see what they would pick.
Hello everybody, so I'm going to do pick one of the first pack here, and there's a lot of powerful cards that kind of pull you into different directions. Straight off the bat we can see the time skippers here are just a nice generic equipment that basically solidifies you legs for the rest of the draft, and that can go into any hero that you want to pick. Same thing with the Rally the Rearguard. Is just a overall great card to pick for any deck as well. I see that Illuminate and Engulfing Light are really great 0 drops that this obviously kind of gives you the option to go either Bolton or Prison. This is just a great Bolton card over here. Spears is pretty good. Boneyard Marauder is pretty good, and these are great options for Chain. So yeah, there's a lot of, I guess the Tremor would kind of go into the Chain picks as well here. So there's a lot of really good options, and I feel like this choice would purely depend on what I actually want to play. And since I haven't played much of Livia, I would actually pick the Boneyard Marauder because this card is just amazing on the deck. One cost, attacks for 6. Yeah, just amazing stuff here. So that would be my pick here.
Alright, so I opened this pack, and this is my pack. At first look, I will look at the 6 generic cards, the equipment, and the 1 light card. Class cards, I try to stay away, pick 1. So as you can see, there's a lot of just powerful generic cards. Some of them being Captain's Call, Zealous Beating, Trimmer, and Rally the Rear Guard. So my first pick will consist of one of these. I believe my first pick would have to be, it's very close, but it would have to be Trimmer of Aravil. Reasoning is because in most limited decks, almost every deck puts a card into a banish zone, either charging, removing a card from the soul, blood depth. So it's really easy to turn on this effect, and a 1-drop 6 power attack is nothing to laugh about. So yeah, this will be my first pick.
My first impressions of the pack here in front of me today is I see some really strong generics, both with the equipment time skippers, a very good sideboard option against Prism, or you're most likely only going to get one piece of equipment for your leagues. If you're left with 4 cards in hand and an arsenal, can be a very strong way for actually Prism herself to get through some multiple attack turns. But the main generics here that are kind of striking out to me as being very, very powerful is both the Red Rally the Rear Guard, very good on offense, being a 2-cost 6 power generic that's on curve. It's exactly what we're looking for. They can also turn our block 2s into block 3s on those big attacks. And additionally, being able to break Phantasm is a huge plus being a generic. And another one, almost along the same lines, the Rare Tremor of Irathel. Apologies for the pronunciation. I know I probably butchered that terribly. It's a 1-cost 4-power defend for 2. It reads, if a card is being put into your banish zone this turn, Tremor gains +2 power. Now, there's actually a lot of ways to manipulate this card in Limited, especially if you're playing Prism, whose hero ability reads, banish a card from your soul to create a Spectral Shield token, which is a very easy way of making this 6 power against an opposing Prism deck to block it like that. And also a lot of the other decks, like we see here, Boneyard Marauder, which is a powerful Shadow Brute card that says, as an additional cost of player, banishing 3 cards from our graveyard. Again, a very easy way of turning it on. And a lot of these like subtle interactions makes this a very easy 1 for 6. So those are 2 very, very powerful generics, which I really like for staying open. We also see 3 Shadow Runeblade cards. And whenever you see 3 of a particular class card in a pack, it signals very well that you're likely to get one of these to go all around the table and come back to you. Because of there being 3. So that means that you're likely to get 2 premium cards. Generally in Limited, the class cards tend to be more valuable than the generic, just because they're the nature of them. If you look down here, all of these class cards block for 3. They're all very efficiently costed, whereas we go back to the top row over here, you'll see that all these cards have just generic effects which can be used in these decks, but they're all blocked for 2, and generally speaking are a little bit under curve. And in addition to that, I'm not so leaning towards the side so much, just because there is no generic shadow cards in the packs as well, which means that we don't really have any backup plans to wheel if there ends up being 3 Runeblade Crafters, as unlikely as that is. Another interesting option is this card here, Captain's Call, which is a 0-cost generic action that reads, choose 1. Next attack action card with 2 or less you play this turn gets +2. Or the next attack action card with cost 2 or less you play this turn gains Go Again. Now, this is a very powerful effect in Limited, especially in Prism and Bolton. You can also have a lot of utility being played in Chain if you leave it in Arsenal for those big turns where you're stacking up all those Soul Shackles. So in my head, the picks for me here are in between our Captain's Call here, I'll Tremor, I'll Rally the Rearguard, and possibly one of these Runeblade cards, but I'm mainly looking at these generics just because these are very powerful in this pack. If these generics weren't so powerful, I'd probably be looking towards the Runeblade cards. And I think here, Rally the Rearguard really is just a little bit more powerful than my other two generic options, just because of the pure utility of it and being able to get that +3 instant speed. But it's very, very close. Wouldn't fault anyone for taking any of these other options here.
Okay, so this pack is quite interesting. There seems to be a number of pretty strong cards in here. Obviously, my attention is I'm looking at the equipment. I'm starting with that Time Skippers. It's very good against Prism. Very good if you're playing Prism, or even against Prism, because you can get 2 action points. So if your Go Again gets sort of shut down, you're able to just sort of keep going with your additional action point there. The generics I'm looking at here mainly are the Zealous Belting and Rally the Rearguard. Zealous Belting is, I find, to be very good in both Prism and Levia. Prism, you have a lot of cards above curve that you can pitch towards this. For example, right here, the Hero of Ravagers. You could pitch just play Zealous Belting to give it Go Again. Rally the Rearguard, also very strong. Very good against Phantasm. So it's got that 6 power to block to shut down that. It's also got that ability to pump it up to +5. You know, if you discard, for example, an instant or something that blocks for 2, you can get quite efficient blocks out of that. Or even for Brute, for example, to get cards into your graveyard. As far as the actual class cards go, I'm not sure there's necessarily something I take first pick. I mean, Spears of Sterility, quite strong in Prism, Boneyard Marauder, quite strong in Levia, but that does lock you in quite early. Illuminate, again, very strong light card in both Prism and Bolton, so I would be quite tempted for that. I think, ultimately, it's quite a tough one for me here. In the name of staying open, I'm going to go ahead. Actually, no, you know what? I'm just going to commit. I'm going to take the one back. Pick one, back one.
Well, this is quite a cool pack. Some nice red cards for every class, some good generics. I really like the Time Skippers, especially for Prism and Chain. I also really like the Rally the Rearguard just against Prism, just to really slow them down. Also good in Brute and in Prism itself for the auras. Probably not going to take any Chain cards. Try and give the people next to me a signal that they can go with Chain. I think here I'm just going to take the Rally the Rearguard as a good defensive option. Keeps me completely open to see what I get from the person next to me, and yeah, I'll stick with it.
Alright, we have a pack of Monarch here, and let's take a look at what goodies we have here. So first thing I like to do is actually take a look at the rares, and there's a lot of generics in this pack, and very little of the others. So one thing to note is when we have a pack that just is like very full of like generic cards, if we actually pick a class card, for hypothetically if we pick the only Brute card, it actually drives the person on my left to receive a pack with 0 Brute, and if we do this for 2 or 3 packs in a row, there's no chance they can go Brute at all, even if they wanted to. But having said that, let's take a look at all of the strong cards out of this pack, and there are quite a lot of goodies, mainly the ones that are red line, and there is a lot of red lines in this pack. So if we wanted to stay open in this pack, I would be picking this Rally the Rearguard, but honestly, there's a lot of merits to just picking this Boneyard Marauder. It's not the absolute strongest Brute card, but if we really wanted to just stop our person on the left playing Brute, we can do that. Having said that, even if we pick this Rally of the Rearguard, we can also control the amount of Brute that will be another pack. But we're going to go with a little bit of a unpopular opinion, I think, and going to first pick this Boneyard Marauder, and the biggest reason is there's no card that absolutely stands out to me as like a must pick, but the person on my left, good luck going Shadow Brute.
This is a weird pack. There are no Shadow only talent cards in here. There's only a singular light talent card here. Not often you see that kind of pack. Look, for my pack on pick ones,
I do in general like to take a card that leaves me somewhat open, so I have a little bit of time to see the signals that are getting fed to me from my right before hard committing to a hero, unless of course you open a bomb, and then you know, very happy to just like hard commit and hope that that hero gets past to me. But this is not one of those packs. There's a few sort of like really solid cards, like you're always happy to have your Marauders and your Rip Through Realities and your Engulfing Lights, but they're not the kind of card that I would want to take as my pack one, pick one to like hard commit to playing Chain. From this pack, the card that really stands out to me the most is Captain's Call. This is a very, very good card for Bolton, obviously giving it the +2 to turn on his hero effect. It's an incredible card for Chain because it's a non-attack action card which enables a lot of his other cards, and it lets you give something go again to build those very big devastating combat chains coming out of the Banish Zone. And this is actually a very, very powerful card for Levia, giving your 2-cost powerful brute attacks go again. So then you can swing with the Ravenous Meat Axe off the back of them. So for me, this one is quite an easy pack. I like the Captain's Call because it's leaving me open to 75% of the heroes. It gives me time to just see what's getting passed to me. I'm all in on Captain's Call. Boom.